Good afternoon, everyone out there on YouTube. My name is Jared, and this is my channel, Mazda3K. In this episode, we're going to troubleshoot why my driver's window can go down, but it really doesn't want to go back up. Without further ado, let's get started. So we're here again with my 2001 Ford F250 named Miss Mildew. And the issue in this particular case is that though the other three power windows work just fine, the driver's power window, when you hit down, I mean the one touch isn't working, but when you hit down, it'll go down, but when you try to roll the window back up, it won't go. So, for example here, window goes down. Okay, so the one touch is working, but you see that the it almost seems like the glass is detached from the track, because it'll go down about this far and then, yeah, okay, a little bit different problem than I thought. So the switch works, so when the motor is moving the regulator up and down, but the glass, for whatever reason, is off track with the regulator. So what we're going to try to figure out is why this glass won't go back up, why it's not going back up the regulator. And to do that, we will need to take this door card off. I haven't dug into it, but I imagine there's a couple of screws we're going to need to take out. And then there's going to be some push pins that we need to pop out with a cat's claw. So let me dig into that and kind of figure out where that stuff is, and I'll get back with you. Alright, so secret to getting the door card off is up and out. But there are two 7mm bolts you got to take out first. Use your cat's claw to pop this out of the way. Then there's a bolt hole here. And then under this reflector, which oddly enough has a hole for a light socket, but no light, there is another 7mm. Get those two out and the whole card will lift up and out. In order to get it fully clear though, we will need to take all these connectors off, and also you got to take this little pillar cover off, and it is just two pop-in clips, so that's fine. Whatever you do, don't sit here and try to pry it out like I did initially. You're just going to break hooks. I've broken, I think, 2 down here. It's not enough that the door still won't look okay, but just don't be like me. Don't break the clips. Take those 2 bolts out, and then the whole assembly will just lift up and out. And then we'll get these connectors off, and then we can get a really good look at what's going on. Let me zoom out here. This is what we look like when we have the door card off. So the next thing you have to do is take the moisture barrier off, and in this case it's just one big card. I've seen it where it's more localized and just a real pain in the butt to remove, but this one shouldn't be that bad. Just take care, because it does thread in around stuff such as the door lock indicator, and it goes where the hooks are, and it goes around the door and your electrical harness and the speaker and so on. So carefully peel that out of the way, and then we'll have full access to the regulator and the glass, and we can kind of get an idea of what's going on. So I just found that some of this is pinned under the speaker. Speaker is held in with 4 5.5mm bolts. So just get those out of the way. Take the speaker out, and then you should be able to get the rest of this barrier off. After doing some experimenting, what we have found out is that the window regulator and motor are working fine. The switch is working fine, but the glass is not able to smoothly track up and down with the regulator. So what we're trying first is to lubricate the areas of the window track that we can get to, and then just start working it a little bit and see what that earns us. Just kidding, I lied. The window's not fixed. So what I found is the window is essentially still just kind of sliding up and down, and I thought, without really being attached to the regulator, and I thought these things were supposed to be attached to their regulator or their frame, which is this guy here. So I did some research, and sure enough, you have these clips. The bottom bolts to the regulator, and then the top is where the glass sits, and you're supposed to put a little silicone or something in there to help kind of lightly glue the glass in, and that's what holds the window to make sure that it doesn't jump and skip in the track. So when I went to check this out on mine, what I found is that that one had been completely bent open and is very badly rusted. And then over here, I don't know if I'll be able to get the shot. Let's see. There we go. The nut had loosened and the glass slipped out, and the clip has swung upside down. And it's also very badly rusted. So I went to the junkyard and I snagged from an F250 these clips, which should work, and I'm going to go ahead and get those installed and find out some kind of a silicone and put this guy back together correctly. Okay guys, so I'm going to go after the regulator that is flipped. See if I can get some light on it here. It's currently flipped upside down in there. There we go. So what you got to do is reconnect your switch panel and then get it down low enough that you can get a tool in through this one hole in the door skin. It's a 10 millimeter. Be careful once you take it out, because at least in my case, I know the front glass is going to try to kick down once I camera in a good spot. There it goes. There we go. The front glass is going to try to kick down as soon as I take this out. I apologize for the lighting, but it's basically sun's down and it's raining. But yeah, I'll be able to show it to you better once I get it out. It's just a bad spot to film. Alright, progress update. So I lucked out on what is would be the front one. The post had broken loose of this clip, so it was just free spinning. I couldn't get the nut off, but it turns out you can, if it's loose, you can. It's set up so you can slide it left and it'll just pop out. This one here is what's considered the rear. If you look, well, you can't read it on this one, but it is stamped LHF and LHR. LFH is left half front and left half rear for these clips. They do have a specific spot in which they go. See, someone had used some sort of gooey tar stuff to try to keep it to sit in, but what I was seeing is I was able to bend this way too easy. Like, I shouldn't be able to do that with my fingers. The metal's a little stiffer than that. This one's pretty badly rusted, so I'm going to take the one that I snagged at the junkyard today, and I'm going to go ahead and get it in position to see how it behaves once I've got the metal clips in position. You're supposed to put a little silicone. I'm going to use RTV because that's what I have on hand, but I want to see how it behaves first before I do that, because it's going to be a bear to try to squeeze adhesive in there without bending the clips out, without... The front is a royal pain in the butt, but I'm going to see how it behaves. So putting it back together is going to be the reverse of taking it apart. A couple of things to pay attention to. You're going to need to kind of bend the plastic of the card to get the lock through. I suggest you put it in the lock position, get it through, and then pop it back up. There is a plastic tab here at the end of the window controls and the door controls. It needs to go in first, and then everything else will kind of line up and then pop in after it. Don't forget to put this cover back on. It has to go on last because there's a plastic lip that comes up off the door card that has to go under this. There are 2 screws, one of which is back behind here. Make sure you line that up. Don't forget to put this cover back on after you put the screw back in over here. And on my trim level, it just pops back into place. If you've got a higher trim level, there might be a light bulb you got to put back in. And beyond that, that's it. We're back in. The moisture barrier is back in. And the window is still 100% functional, so life is good. Alrighty folks, that's going to do it for this episode where we investigated the cause of the window not going up and down correctly in my 2001 Ford F250 named Miss Mildew. So please leave me a comment. I like to read them. I like to reply to them. I like to learn from them. Please also like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the fun YouTube stuff. And remember, I make the mistakes so you don't have to. I'll see you guys next episode.